All right, ready?
I already recorded.
Okay, let's do this. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Welcome to another episode of Tequila High Club. On today's show, we are looking at a tequila that doesn't really have a proper tequila story. However, they do class themselves as the Party Tequila. So we're going to be learning about that. And we also have one of my very good friends for a good amount of years. It's already started. We are going to see exactly what it's like to go on a journey as a woman when things happen when you least expect it. And also, how do you find yourself while you're going viral on YouTube, on social media, yet you don't actually end up having the rights or the ownership to that with your own brand? We're going to figure out what does that feel like, and also how do you find yourself amongst all of that craziness? So without further ado, Suzel.
What an intro.
How are we?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm so good. So good to have you here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get into some tequila, hey?
Nice.
What's your thoughts on tequila?
I'm not a big drinker anymore. I'm more of a wine kind of gal. But if I'm going to get a shot, it will always be tequila with salt and lime or orange.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to, purpose of today is to really educate you that we don't really just want to just take shots of tequila. And this is the reason why people hate tequila, because you do. You're right. You're at a nightclub, you're at a bar, you take a shot, and you always have to chase it with some lemon and salt. It's probably one of the worst things to actually chase with a tequila. So what we're going to be going through today is, this is the Olmega tequila. Now, this is an interesting tequila. It's reposado. So reposado means rested in Spanish. So this just means usually all the reposados are colorful like this. They're like that kind of orange tinge. And that's because they sit in barrels and they rest.
Okay.
Yeah. So then because they sit and they age for a little bit, that's how they come out after they're distilled. So let's have a taste of this and we'll see what your thoughts are, and then I'll explain. So let's just, what do you smell?
Tequila.
One star so far.
Yeah. On me?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. 1 gold star.
Is that what you do to taste tequila as well?
You don't like dribble like that, but
Because with wine,
the tequila works more so like when you start tasting it, you'll taste it once, right? And then as you taste again and again and again, just like this, your then palate on your tongue starts actually really tasting the different flavors.
Okay.
So this is the problem. So this is actually this is one of the cheaper tequilas out there. And I just really wanted to taste it because it's a reposado, and for a cheaper bottle, it's been rested, it's aged for 5 months inside some American white oak barrels. They're ex-bourbon barrels. So this is why I really wanted to taste it, because tequila, especially mezcal, they can come like cheaper versions, but they end up tasting really, really smooth and good. So do you feel that this kind of tastes a little bit smooth?
This is the first time one of the first times I've been able to drink tequila and sip it straight. Usually I need a chase.
Yeah, it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
So what's some of the flavors that you're feeling right now?
I don't know if it's my head, I'm thinking honey, but maybe I'm just looking at the color.
Yeah.
To me, all straight spirits taste like nail polish remover.
Yeah.
But this is a nice one.
This is nice now.
This is a nice nail polish remover.
Well, because they've used the ex-bourbon casks to age this in, you're getting that sweetness through. So with bourbon and whiskey, when you age it for long enough, you start getting more of the sweet kind of like softer flavor to it, and the softer touch. So the reason why this is quite sweet compared to other tequilas is the people behind this actually wanted to create a tequila that was great for bartenders to use for cocktails to mix with. So something that could really easily be used in different type of cocktails, and it doesn't have that tequila punch. So when you have something sweet, then everything with a cocktail, every cocktail is pretty much, some sort of sweetness, right?
Yeah.
So that's why they created it. The company itself was founded in 1967, so they've had a lot of years, but it wasn't until a couple of bartenders came in and then they rebranded in 2012 to try and deliver a different sense of branding throughout the world for bartenders.
Okay.
So their actual slogan is "Bring the party, not the plan." And this is the first tequila, and I said this in the introduction, which was very interesting to me. I tried to do a lot of research. Usually I can go in and I can go on Wikipedia, I can find articles about the company, the history, but this doesn't really have that much of a history. There's no real story on the website. So if everyone watching, and later on I can show you, you go to the website, which is olmegatequila.com, and you'll see it straight away. There's a huge photo of just random things happening in one big party. It's like a house party, but there's so much random shit going on.
I love
It's
that.
hilarious. And then it comes up saying, "Bring the party, not the plan."
Okay.
So yeah, so that's that.
Nice.
And then with the barrel of the bourbon as well, that's where they wanted a bit of a smokiness as well to it. So it kind of had that like kind of burnt kind of taste.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can taste the burnt.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's have a shot, because now we're going to talk about, and I miss being able to tell a real story about like the tequila, but this is kind of all I have for now for this Olmeca. One of the actual cool thing is they got one of like the stone kind of henge that goes back into the Spanish times, like of the Aztecs and that, which is kind of cool. What do you think about the bottle?
It looks like a beautiful tequila bottle. The thing that I like the most about it is the
Engraving.
Yeah, the engraving in the actual glass itself.
Yeah.
I really like that. It doesn't look like a cheap bottle at all. It looks quite snazzy.
There's a really it's hard sometimes for glassies to be able to actually mold something like this. The one thing I do not like about this is I just feel like they've gone too far with the entire detail. So when you look at it, it actually seems to cheapen the bottle. That's another thing as well. There's too much going on.
Yeah.
So I mean, if they kind of simplified it, but at the end of the day, it does
Maybe.
kind of look like a big party going on, and that does also work to their advantage. So
Yeah.
let's go for now. Let's go have a shot, and then we're going to talk about the story of Suzel. And there's way more to talk about than this bottle of Olmeca.
Cheers.
Cheers. The best. Okay, so before we do go on, how would you rate, out of 10, how would you rate this tequila?
Just because of how easy it is to drink, I didn't have to run for the orange right away.
Uh-huh.
I go 7, 8, 8,
8?
7.5, 8.
Okay, very cool. It's actually the community votes have actually given it a lot less.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe I just don't know my tequilas.
Well, I mean, I can taste it because I'm actually going to put the tequila in first. You can taste there's no real... Tequila is an interesting thing, right? People are so consumed by the story and the soul to a tequila, and the company, the maestro as well, who does all the recipes and everything. And so I noticed that when I'm looking around, I'm doing researching for tequilas for the show, that when a company doesn't go all in on its heritage of tequila itself, they seem to just not get a good rating from the community.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is so important, why a story is important for everything, not just tequila, but a brand around the world, a person, kind of knowing exactly where they came from and where they're going. And so let's cheers to that, because I'm really interested on seeing your heritage, which I know quite a bit about, but then also we kind of haven't spoken really for properly in depth for the last 5-6 years.
Yeah.
And I know you've been up to a lot of shit. So I'm really excited to see how that journey has been. So let's start with so where are you from, Suzel?
I'm originally from Perth, Western Australia. I grew up in a little house far in the countryside. I ended up leaving Australia when I was a bit older. I wouldn't necessarily call it my home anymore, just because I've visited so many places in the world. I kind of consider Earth as my home now. But little country girl.
You say Earth.
Earth. Yeah, I'm from Earth. Someone's like, where are you based? Earth.
That's actually one of the coolest replies.
Really? I usually get a look for it, but I'm not wrong.
So when did you leave Perth and where did you go?
I left Perth in 2015. I was around 20 at the time. I moved to London. I was with a long-term boyfriend at the time. And at that time, I wanted to get married. I want to have children. By the age of 23, 24, 25, I had to have kids. And I flew over to London. I wanted to pursue a modeling career. But that kind of went a bit sideways while I was there. Yeah.
Uh-huh. What do you mean sideways?
Just because I went there, I was very new to life. I wanted to become like an Instagram influencer. I wanted to be seen everywhere. Like my goal was to have my face all over the world, which is bizarre to me now, but that is what I wanted. And unfortunately, like a couple years in, I got quite depressed and I ended up flying back to Australia. And then I was attacked by a dog on my face. And obviously I couldn't really do the modeling anymore because I kind of looked like, what was that thing you called me?
So let's rewind back so I can give the context.
Sorry.
I'll never forget that.
I will never forget that either. But...
So let's rewind. So you wanting to have kids and everything like that. Your mum's from Portugal.
Yeah.
So was she like very like that? Because your mum's like a very she's a classic traditional Portuguese woman who that's kind of what she wants for everyone, right?
Yeah, my parents are still together, which ages ago, if you said that your parents weren't together, it was just bizarre. But now saying that your parents are together is just out of this world. But my mum and dad have a beautiful relationship, and that's something that I saw growing up. So it made me want what they had. Yeah, they're very traditional, very loving, very caring. And I guess that's why I wanted what they had at that time.
Yeah, I love your parents. Your parents are cool.
They are really lovely.
Yeah.
They keep to themselves. Like no one will ever see them, but they're like the most kindest people on this planet. I've had a very lovely childhood because of them. Yeah.
So you flew back to Perth, and yeah, let's talk about this. You and me met when you came back to Perth. We went out a couple of times. We had some hilarious shit. I don't know if because we'll cut this up into shorts, but like when the shorts happen, we should be like, this is how it started. Yeah. And it was you and me. I think we went out. I don't know, what did we do? Did we go out for drinks?
So I think what happened was I flew back to Australia. I was quite depressed in London. I was quite sad. And then I ended up flying back just to feel better, be with my friends, be with my family. And I thought that one of my friends, Blake, had messaged me.
Right.
And he was like, hey, what's up? What have you been up to? Or like, are you in Perth? And I was like, yeah, how are you? Do you want to hang out? Whatnot. And then it wasn't until you were on your way to come and see me that I was like, hang on, this isn't Blake Hobson or whatever his name was. I was like, this is Blake Coleman. And then I went onto your profile and I was like, oh, okay, this is not who I thought I was messaging, but he seems like a nice guy. I'd seen that you were on like a TV series, and I was just like, okay, I'll let this happen. He seems like a nice guy. And yeah, like literally until you're on your way, I had no idea who you were. But we hit it off like a house on fire.
So we went out. Like we went out for, I think we went for dinner at it was a Little Creatures. Started there.
Yeah.
And then we ended up getting like a little bit tipsy, but you got real retarded.
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna get cancelled. It's the same.
That's
but
right.
whatever. And yeah, we had like that funny video of like me pushing you in the trolley.
Yeah.
It was just funny stuff.
It was like Tweedledee, meeting each other.
We're just a bunch of idiots, man.
Yeah.
Classic.
Dumb and dumber.
Yeah, I think that's like why we like connected really well. We just had so much fun.
Yeah.
And then so we're hanging out for a little bit, and then something like crazy happened.
Yeah.
And this is inside. Tell us the story of what happened with the dog.
So fucked up. Let me just take a sip. So I think we met just before New Year's Eve. And then I said, I'm going to go camping with my friends to bring in the new year. So my friends all wanted to go camping. I think it was like a few hours away down south. And I remember saying to my mom, I have a bad feeling about this. And my mom was like, I do too. And I was like, maybe I shouldn't go. And my mom was like, maybe you shouldn't. But of course, whenever you feel those feelings, you kind of put it to the side. And I ended up going. And when we were driving down, we got a flat tire. And I was like, oh, another sign, I shouldn't go. And also another thing to add to that was when my flight from London to Australia, coming to Australia, my flight number was 911. And there's a video of me going, I don't think I should take this flight. I think something bad's going to happen. I don't know if I manifested it or if I was predicting it, but I went down, had a lovely time. My friends were all together. They brought a mutual friend over who had their dog with them. It was like this, I can't remember the breed. It was like this pit bull cross, just this massive big dog, like just.
I thought it was like pit bull cross like Rottweiler or something.
It was weird. Yeah, it was just think of like two really weaponed dogs put together and bred. Like it was a security dog, and it looked very scary. But my friend was like, "Oh yeah, he's a lovely dog. He's so nice." And I was like, "Okay." And I was playing with the dog, and then it hit New Year's Eve, and we were all doing the countdown. And we were all having some drinks, and my friends were like, oh, we're going to go exploring, because we were out in the middle of nowhere, like no reception, no signal, no nothing. And my friends were like, oh, we're going to go explore. And I was like, I'm a little bit wavy. I think I'm going to stay by the fire pit and just chill out because I don't want anything to go wrong. I don't want to slip and fall somewhere in the dark because I can be a bit clumsy. So I'm sitting, chilling, and then I'm like, oh, I need to go to the car, get some papers out of my bag. And as I go to the car, I open the car door to get my bag out, and my friend's dog is in the back of the car. And I'm grabbing my stuff, and I'm like, hey, Baba. And this dog just jumps up, bites my face, rips me around like a little rag doll, and I just screamed and fell back. And nothing hit me at all at that point of time. I was just in shock and just shut the door and ran to my other friend's car, got in there, and as I pulled the rearview mirror, and I've seen that my mouth had gone like all the way up here, and my nose was like hanging off. Like my eyelashes had all been ripped down. I had like this big cut under my eye, and I just remember going, like fucking losing it. And I think I just went in shock. I didn't feel any pain. I kind of started losing my mind. Luckily someone had like some sort of Xanax there to kind of calm me down, because if I didn't have that, I probably would have lost my chops. But yeah, I was just losing my mind, going, no one's ever going to love me again. How am I going to be a model? I just wanted to be a model. I'm ugly. Like, help me. And we were so far out, we had no service, so no one could call an ambulance. I was lucky that some people there had experience with first aid. So they were like wrapping me up. We had to drive a few hours to get some service, called an ambulance. The ambulance took its time, came down, took me to the closest like country surgeon. And he's like there stitching me up, like just like an animal, like those sort of stitches. And he looks at me and he goes, "Oh, you look like one of those button-eyed rag dolls, you know, the..." And I was just like, rah, like, why? Why would you say that?
Classic country bumpkin, isn't it?
Yeah. I didn't think about my feelings at all, but it was tough. And I remember like being so calm and cool about it. Like, even though I was freaking out, there'll be times where I was like taking a photo going like this because there was nothing I could do about it, you know, just trying to make light of the situation. And the next day, the owner of the dog wouldn't speak to me. And I kind of thought, did I do something to you? Like, what's your deal? I guess that maybe he was going through some shock of his own. So everyone like reacts to things differently. So I kind of gave him the benefit of the doubt. But yeah, ended up going back home. My mom was like freaking out. My poor mom. My mom would say to me, "I made you so perfect and you keep ruining my work." So that's all I could hear at the time in my head. And luckily she had some advice from someone that said that I should go to another hospital to get some plastic surgery done, because if I didn't, I would have had huge caterpillar scars all over my face. Mm-hmm. So I went to Princess Fiona Stanley hospital, and they could have turned me away because it wasn't an emergency because I'd already been stitched up. But I think because they saw me as this young girl who had just had her life taken away and changed, they were just like, "All right, we're going to bring you in, we're going to give you plastic surgery, and we're going to fix you to the best that we can." Mm-hmm. And that's how my face looks the way that it does now.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's basically what happened in that moment. So then me being like, "Oh, I've just met this nice guy, and like, what am I gonna do?"
I'll woo him with Rick and Morty.
Yeah. So yeah, for me to even show my face to anyone, like my face was coming out of here. Like it was like having a big chipmunk on this side, big scars, big puffiness. In my mind, I was just like, "Oh, I'm just going to go back to normal. It's fine. Once the swelling goes down, it's going to be fine." And doctors are like, "She's got permanent nerve damage." And I'm like, maybe it's not going to be fine. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it was very, very horrible. Like, not what you expect. But they always say that the things that come and blindside you happen on a random Tuesday that you least expect. So, yeah.
So at a young age, this happens, and the question I have is, you know, you're in the modeling career and everything like that, and then we were hanging out for a bit, and then I tried to crack a joke in the best context way, and it didn't come out at all. It did not sound, and I'll say it because, like, you know.
But it was a bit later that you said it, so it wasn't like you had said it.
It wasn't the next day, and I'm like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I said, yeah, I was trying to crack a joke and like make you feel better about something. But the way I said it came out so wrong.
I'll never forget it.
Yeah, I know. All I remember is, I don't remember like the exact sentence. I just remember like Two-Face. And like, I was laughing when I said it, and then you were distraught. And I was like, that's not what I meant.
I was like, who's Two-Face? Well, who's Two-Face? And you're like, you know the guy from Batman?
I gotta, if I could like find those, I'm pretty sure, I think you screenshot it and sent it to me as well, like 8 years and years ago.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's lucky I have a good sense of humor.
Yeah.
But yeah, and you weren't wrong. I literally look like that.
You didn't talk to me for 2 days, but.
Did I not?
I think it was one day.
I was a little sookie lala back in the day.
Yeah, but so you deserve it. Some little fuckboy is like, yeah, Two-Face, of course.
But
surprised you even like talk to me again.
But the thing is that even though you had that comment, you were still coming and showing up every day. Like, you would still come and see me, you'd still hang out with me, we'd go to parties together, we would do things. And even though I did look like Two-Face, it didn't seem to bother you at all. And I think I remember saying to you, you're like a guardian angel that came into my life, because if I didn't have you during that time, my confidence would not have been there. Like, you made me feel so normal that I didn't even see the scars in the mirror, because you made me feel like I was pretty and that there was nothing wrong. Even though you made the comment at that point, maybe that's why I was so shocked. I was like, oh, maybe that's how he actually thinks. But I really do believe that you were a guardian angel that came into my life, and I really needed you there. Like, you really made me feel confident, even though I looked like Two-Face.
Well, I love Batman. So
Yeah. Oh, wow.
I think it's because I liked your soul. You have a pure energy.
Yeah.
And we also, like, we laugh a shit ton as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I remember, and like, this is why I'm being so excited to do this with you, because we've had so many funny times, and you introduced me to the world of Rick and Morty. And like, I'm like forever grateful on that.
I do have like a question. Are you sick and tired of opening doors and then going somewhere?
Yeah.
Oh, look no further. Welcome to Fake Doors.
What? Made myself tequila. Look, what? Fake doors.
Yeah, still selling fake doors. Yeah. It was nice to have someone.
That must be where he lives.
Oh my God, it's still the commercial. It's still going. Yeah, I love that show. Such a fantastic, smart show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But now you're going to get me hooked on, because you and Bryden were selling me on season 20 of South Park, and
Yes.
that's more like Rick and Morty.
Whenever I ask someone, have you seen South Park? They always say, oh, when I was a kid, I remember the Backstreet Boy or the Michael Jackson episode or whatnot, but it's not really for me. I'm like, well, if you like Rick and Morty and you like really out there cartoons and whatever, watch from season 20 onwards of South Park. They really go to places that you would never expect.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the stuff that comes out of their mouth, you're just like, I cannot believe they got away with it. It is very witty. It's very current.
Isn't it cool to see South Park has been going on for almost 30 years?
Mm-hmm.
It's basically the funny version of Simpsons. And
Well, yeah.
I mean, Simpsons has been going on for like 60 years. But it's really interesting to like the founders of South Park, the creators, on how they just really continuously to develop themselves and understand the market,
Mm-hmm.
and always trying to adapt and push the limits.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's really awesome to see that's happening all the time.
Yeah. They say what people are thinking, whereas I think in The Simpsons, they're a little bit more safe because they have like a different audience. But with South Park, yeah, everything that you really think, it comes out of their mouths. And you're like, oh, maybe I'm a bad person. Yeah.
So you go back to London eventually, and then you're doing your thing in London. So then you started becoming friends with a lot of other great people who speak their mind, say it how it is, very like understanding the market as well, like as creators, very viral types of people, funny people. How did that journey go from you going back to London and starting to, meet these new people, and what was the journey from then on when you're still dealing, with everything that was going on?
I just find it crazy that even though I had all of these scars on my face, what I thought was impossible started becoming possible. So before I went to London in the first place, people would say to me, who do you want to meet when you go to London? Do you want to meet the Queen? Do you want to meet Prince Harry? Who do you want to meet? I'm like, oh, I like this influencer called Jack Jones. Like, he does these silly videos where he's like on his phone in a public place going, Mom, I just shut my pants. And like, he'd get the reaction of people. And I loved those sort of videos at the time. So I was like, oh, I just want to meet Jack Jones, or I'd like to meet some funny influencers, rah, rah, rah. I just want them to come to me and do a prank on me and me be in the background. Like, that's all I want. And then when I flew back after the dog bite, I was working in a nightclub and Jack Jones came in to the venue And of course, I was going to act like I didn't know who he was. I was like, hey, and keep it professional as well. But he was like, I love your vibe. Do you want to be in a video with me? And I was like, okay, yeah, why not? And he was like, yeah, Tuesday. So on Tuesday, we went and we filmed some things. And it was just crazy because I was like, this is who I wanted to meet, and I'm actually meeting them. And then from that, I started making connections. I ended up getting a blue tick because of all the articles that were out about me. And back in the time, I was like, I just want a blue tick. I just want a blue tick, you know? And then when I got a blue tick, I realized that it doesn't mean shit. It just means you are who you are. But I ended up getting everything that I wanted. And with this blue tick at the time, it was easier for me to reach out to different people and get them to respond back to me. And yeah, I ended up getting everything that I wanted in that sort of way. People be like, oh, come do this video. We love your energy. Come do this, come do that. So then I started doing silly TikToks and silly Instagram videos.
Is it tiring to do those? Because there's a lot of scripting and there's a lot of staging in all of those videos. Mm-hmm. Is it tiring setting it up, or were you kind of like a natural into, okay, set the pose, okay, this is what we're doing? Or did you guys have to pre-plan a lot to that?
It's funny. You would think that a lot of pre-planning went in place, but it's just whatever comes to the top of your head. With the people that I filmed with, it was just, oh, I think this will be funny. And then film it there and then. There was no planning, no nothing. A lot of things are staged, but a lot of things are real. Like, it's very weird. Yeah, it wasn't all lights and production and cameras and anything. It was everything on mobile phones and whatnot.
I remember the era, and you were in some of these videos. The ones where like you'd be walking next to like a guy would be walking next to their girl, and they'd be talking, and then they just like throw them into the bush.
Yeah, that was the first video that I did.
Is that the one?
Yeah, that was actually with Jack Jones and
So like back then, because that doesn't happen anymore now, because everyone's more creative than that.
Yeah.
But how viral did that really go?
I'd say like over 17 million views, more than that, like 700 million. Like I remember looking at that and being like, wow. And I'd share it on my Facebook, and then my Facebook would get like 12 likes. I'd be like, yeah, but there's like 700 million views here. But it's so weird because at the time I just wanted likes, I wanted views, I wanted people to see who I was, and I was willing to do anything to get that. Like, not anything, but I was prepared to make myself look like an idiot to get that, you know, which is bizarre to me now, but that is what I wanted. But I'd come up with a lot of the ideas, which is insane. I remember like he was like, oh, I'm going to do this prank on you. And I was like, okay, I'm going to take all my clothes off in the middle of Leicester Square, and you'll get a lot more reaction. And he was like, yeah, let's do that. I was like, okay. And yeah, I'd take my clothes off in the middle of Leicester Square, freaking out that there was a bee on me. And
I remember that one. That was actually like pretty funny.
Yeah. And at the time, that's what people wanted to see.
Yeah.
Now when I look back at it, I'm like, oh, that's very cringe. But that's what everyone wanted to see at the time, and no wonder it got so many views.
But do you know what also was cringe? What I used to wear in high school.
Well, all of us, don't you worry.
Yeah, I look back, right, and I'm like, ugh. But that's at that time, a moment in time, and this is when people when they go back and go, oh, I can't believe I did that. We did it back then because we thought it was the right thing at the right time.
Yeah.
And people sometimes just get held up on that, like with the regrets. You made a decision. Mm-hmm. It seemed to be the right decision at the time. Whether you had fun or not, it's not regardless. It's like, It is what it is.
I wouldn't change anything going back at all. Like, everything that happened is where it's led me now.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how did that change? So at what point did you realize and kind of have like the aha of God, oh, I don't actually want to do that one for other people? Because I mean, if you're getting like a video that's 17 million or 700 million, whatever it is, anything over 1 million, I've noticed this a lot, that if you tag someone in a video that's a viral video like that, the other person doesn't really, who's in the video, doesn't ever get a following because it's not their brand.
Yeah.
And it's coming in, when it's posted on a person's channel, that's where the followers come. That's where the algorithm happens. And like my goal for this show is to be able to create so much content directly just for my guests, like yourself, so that we can get the shorts and then we can really get this value coming out. Because in a show like this, it's the value that's the most important thing. And, you know, so far, like, you've shared so many insane stories, and I really think that's important. So that's my goal, you know, and that's my want and my passion. And for you though, what do you sort of like, when did you realize that, hey, I don't want to do this anymore, regardless it's cringe? But how do you feel about that whole being able to build your own brand to actually do what you really want to do?
There are so many things that I want to say about this that I just... Oh, okay. I think me not getting the views myself was strictly just my fault. Like, I was always the extra. I was always the person that they would have on board, but it was always for their channel. If I turned around and said, hey, I want to do this, they would have 100% got on board with me and done these videos. But I think at the time I was such a people pleaser, and I didn't want to ask them to do these things. And also I didn't know what I wanted to do. I kind of just followed with it. Like, that's all down to me. That's why I don't have the clout. That's why I don't have the following. That's why I don't have the views on my own thing. But maybe that's because I didn't want that in my heart. I don't know. But I just wanted the views because everyone else wanted the views. And I never even thought about what's the point of this? What's the number going to change in my life? Like, I'm just sitting there looking and waiting for a number to pop up until I'm satisfied. Why? But this all didn't come to me until maybe a few years ago, when I'd always been depressed my whole entire life, always down, didn't see the meaning of life. And then the dog bite, and I just hated the way I looked. I hated the way I felt. I don't know, I stumbled in this really dark place. And then one day my friends were like, oh, let's all go to Amsterdam. And I was like, okay, let's go to Amsterdam. And they said to me when we were in Amsterdam, oh, we all want to do mushrooms. And I remember going to a shop, and they were like, we're doing mushrooms. We're going to do 10 grams, mushrooms. And I said to the guy behind the counter, I don't want to take any mushrooms. Yeah.
That's a lot.
That's a shit ton.
I've taken 5 out of my mind.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was like, I don't want to take this because I have depression. And I'm worried that this is going to make me lose my mind. I've heard about the orange juice boy that took too much acid and thought he was a glass of orange juice, which I don't believe actually happened. Have you heard this story?
No.
Apparently he took so much acid or mushrooms that he ended up thinking he was a glass of orange juice and he couldn't ever be tipped over. Yeah, but I think that's
sounds delicious.
Yeah, so put some tequila on it.
Yeah. Come on the show.
Yeah. Here he is right now, my next guest.
Hello.
So obviously I was like super scared about taking it, but because I was so depressed, I didn't really give a shit in the same time. So I was like, fuck it. And the guy behind the counter said, actually, this is known to help with depression. Like, people come out of this healed. And I was like, good luck. I've been on all sorts of medication and nothing works, but kudos, whatever. My friends and I, we go back to the Airbnb and we got these mushrooms, or I think they were truffles actually. We had some truffles as well. And I remember like, I'd seen a lot of Joe Rogan podcasts and different things, so I kind of was aware of what to expect. I knew I was going to see some freaky things. But when I took it, I said to everybody, I'm going to go to the bathroom and I'm just going to put some headphones in and I'm just going to sit in silence. And as I've gone into the bathroom, I've looked at my hands and I've seen all of these different patterns through my hands going, whoa, what the hell? And just looking around, and I'm in like this tiny cubicle, actually probably the size of this couch with a toilet, because in Amsterdam, the toilets are so tiny. You can literally put your head against the wall and in this tiny spot. I remember just standing up and looking down and seeing all this darkness and sadness and depression. And then I looked up and I saw these hearts and rainbows and love and light. And I just felt like I was getting like called up in this Willy Wonka glass lift, being pulled out of this sadness and depression. And I was like, oh my God. I opened the door and I was like, guys, everything is so beautiful. And I had tears running down my eyes, like just my face just covered in tears, going, yeah. Like just looking around, everything was beautiful. Whatever I was seeing was just magic. And in that moment, like I saw a shit ton. Like my friends were all just, but I was somewhere else. I was in a whole different dimension. Like I was going through some sort of ego death. My whole perspective of life was changing. And there was this moment where like, I was like, I need to get my phone out and just start typing all these things in, because I was getting downloads of information. And I was like, I have like this whole thing on my phone that I carry with me. And every now and then, if I feel down, I'll read it and it will just bring me back up. But in these messages, it was like, begin again, begin again. How do we begin again? There is something more out there. There is more than meets the eye. I am God. We all are. We are all one. I'm floating through a version of reality. Like, be open to other people's minds and perspectives. I'm not the only person on this planet. And me, before taking it, I was a full-on atheist. I didn't believe in God. I didn't believe in anything. And after taking it, I started believing in God. And then I'd walk out of the bathroom and all of a sudden, within 1 second, I saw through every single person's eyes on this planet. Like within half a second, I felt the whole entire human being feeling. And I literally dropped to my knees and I was like, my life is not that bad. My life is not bad at all. There is so much pain in the world. And I fell back and had this white glow around me. I felt like I was being healed. And I ended up going to sleep that night. And when I woke up, it was like I was looking through a new lens. It was like I was looking through new eyes. It was like I'd been reborn, refreshed, wiped clean. And I was walking around, I was picking up rubbish, putting it in the bin, even though it wasn't my rubbish, looking up, seeing a cat in the window, being like, that's so lovely. Just having so much appreciation for life. And then I was like, what am I doing with my own life? Why am I making myself look like an idiot in order to get these likes? Instagram is literally just one big popularity contest. Like, what am I getting? Am I getting money out of it? No. What is it? And I really sat and reflected at myself and was like, how have I been programmed to see likes as a currency? How, unless I'm making money out of it, which I wasn't, what am I actually doing? And then I looked at my videos and I see videos of me walking down the street and vomiting on someone like as a prank and being like, is this really the bar that I want to set for people? And I was like, no. And from that moment on, I completely changed everything, my whole way of thinking. And yeah, that's what changed my whole entire life, my whole perspective. That's what made me not want to be cringe and desperate for likes. It's like that guy, that avocado guy. I was speaking about this yesterday, that he's a mukbang. Mukbang? Is it mukbang where you eat the food?
Mukbang.
Just those.
In Thailand.
Huh? Like there's those influencers that sit in front of TV and they eat food, they just eat food. And there's this guy who was really thin and he was doing different videos and then found that he'd get a lot of views by eating this food. And seeing his journey, he's gone from someone that I would say was maybe like 70 kilos or maybe 60 kilos to end up being like pushing nearly 200 kilos.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just because and he's like,
I was like, you just sold your soul. You're not even you. And yeah, I saw that and I was like, I'm not too far from that. Like, I'm doing it in different ways. I'm making myself look like an idiot, you know? And I still see it today. Like, you go on your lives and you have people like, thank you for the rose. Thank you for the rose. Or like,
gang.
Like, yeah, thank you for the rose. Oh, an ice cream. Yeah. Like, and then there'll be people that will like bang their heads with a bottle or like hit themselves in the face, or, you know, and people are like sending money for them to do that. I'm like, why can't we send money for someone, you know, breaking codes or like learning new things about the universe or understanding why we're here in the first place?
Mm-hmm.
But we're literally like cheering on stupid people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's not what I'm going to sign up to.
It's like the movie we watch.
Idiocracy. That's where we're going.
And everyone thinks it's like it's a joke. But you look at that stuff. Imagine if you watch Idiocracy. For those viewers at home, go look up Idiocracy. It's this guy who is in the army and they wanted to do an experiment where they would freeze someone in for a year. Mm-hmm. And then they'd unfreeze them and then they'd see, what has changed. But then the plan went to shit. They ended up getting frozen for like 550 years or something like that. And then everyone in the population has an IQ of like 12.
Yeah,
and so,
not even.
Yeah. So the two people that got frozen, they've got an IQ of, I think it was like 100 or 100.
Which was average.
They're the most smartest people in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you kind of look at that and like, okay. So, I mean, I look at it as attention. Two questions I want to ask. One, did you communicate that with your friends who were like the big, you know, influencers, the YouTubers and stuff, or did you just kind of like slowly just move? I just detached myself because who am I to put my thoughts over to them? Like, I was the one putting up my hand going, yeah, I'll vomit on someone. Yeah, I'll do this video. I'll do that video. But they were making money out of what they were doing. So that's their part. But it wasn't something for me. So I just slowly detached myself. And then if there was like a video that would come up, I would then be able to say yes or no, I want to do that because I wanted to respect myself, you know. Mm-hmm. And two, did you actually, so you never knew the actual scientific results of like what mushrooms actually do to your synapse in your brain?
Like, I had an idea, and because I was so depressed, there was a moment maybe 2-3 months before having the mushrooms where someone was like, you need to go and see a psychiatrist. And I was like, yeah, okay. And I went, and I couldn't even look him in the eye. I couldn't look people in the eye. I was just like this always. Like, I couldn't speak. And I would say, I feel like I have wires pulled out of my brain. Like, I feel like everything's meant to be plugged in together, but I had wires that were plugged in the wrong spots. Like, my brain was always thinking. I walk out my house, I'd be fine, walking down the street. And then my thoughts, by the time I got to the end of the road, I was in pieces. Like, I was distraught. And I would always say, I just want everything to get plugged back into the right parts. Mm-hmm. So I kind of felt like mushrooms could kind of help in that sort of way. So I was a little bit more open to taking them, but I was also scared of the negative stories that people would talk about.
I mean,
yeah. But honestly, like, out of every antidepressant, out of everything that I've ever had, it's always masked the feeling. This was the only thing that completely changed my mindset. Mm-hmm. Like, I recommend it to anyone that is suffering from depression or.
I want to give my sister a huge dose because she would benefit from a lot of trauma. So for everyone who doesn't understand like how like mushrooms work, I always direct them to the Netflix special. It's The Mind Explained. And so there's 4 chapters in that. And one, they talk about, first one, psychedelics, mushrooms mainly, with a little bit MDMA in it. Next one is, apologies. I think the first one is like mushrooms. Then they talk about MDMA. Then they talk about acid. Then they talk about something else. And and this is really why I think it's amazing where we are in this world now. So many countries, Australia, just legalized the medicinal purposes for mushrooms and MDMA. And you wonder why when people take pure MDMA at a festival, you never see anyone fighting.
Because everyone's just feeling love.
Yeah, because it's synthesized in a way where it works with your chemical compounds. Now, when I learned about mushrooms, I've been taking mushrooms for a long time. But when I've been feeling when I have been feeling not myself, or I feel like I'm dealing with something, I like to really dive deep, and I'll take probably 5 grams. And I had this little ritual, and this has helped a lot. So, but it only works once you understand the scientific side to it. Because so many people, when we're growing up, I grew up, we used to take mushrooms just for fun because we thought, sick, we're going high.
Yeah, we're gonna do some shit. Yeah,
colors, man. And then it wasn't until 6-7 years ago I learned about how mushrooms affect your synapse in your brain. So our brain is wired to circulate, right? So that's what we call it, circuits. And so when you have certain things that happen in your life that are traumatic, it ends up becoming a blocker. And so certain circuits can't actually continue moving around and building new circuits. So personal development. If you don't learn, you die, right? If you don't learn, you don't grow. That's it, right? If you don't learn to become, if you're a professional athlete, if you don't learn to become better, get the next PB,
you're left in the dust.
Everything like that, right? You end up going down. And the same thing is with our mind. And people don't understand this. This is the reason why sitting down and watching Netflix every single night, or consuming your phone, scrolling every single hour of the day, puts you into autopilot. If you become autopilot, then you don't think for yourself, and you're thinking and you're consuming everyone else's shit, whether it's funny, whether it's, even if it's like entertaining, whatever it is.
Yes.
Fake doors. And so what I learned is the mushroom, the psychedelic, is able to open up new pathways in your brain, so that if you're coming and you're thinking about one thing, a trauma, and it keeps on bouncing back, and you keep on doing that circle. And when people can see this, like when people watching this and you think, when did I get angry about something? When did I feel upset about something? How long did it take for me to actually be positive again or happy again? Because I spent 2 days, 3 days, even a week thinking about the same thing over and over and over, but it didn't become the same trauma. It ended up becoming bigger. And then I started thinking about my future, and then I was like, and then my life's completely shit. And so what the mushrooms does, it from a scientific level, actually opens new pathways. So you might come and hit this roadblock, but then it comes again, and the mushrooms kick in, and it kind of misses and puts your synapse off. And then you start building new pathways, and that's when you start having those experiences. And as soon as you take that out, then you start going, oh wow, that is not me, that is not really what's happening. And if people can come to align with, this is something that is not man-made, it comes from the earth, and it's something that can benefit people a hell of a lot. I remember when I was depressed and I took a huge hit, like half my problems just like disappeared.
It's crazy to see the images of how your neurons, how it all works. So you have a brain, like a normal brain, and you see all the pathways. And then you have a brain that's just had mushrooms, and it's just like this big web of expansion. And you see that it opens up different perspectives of life. So my whole life, I had like this very narrow view of the world. And then after I took the mushrooms, it opened up. Like I could see from different points of view that I would never have seen before. Like, it's insane. Like, I feel like we all kind of have like these blinders on us that from a young age, from going to school, from all the media, from everything, you kind of create like these blinders and you kind of create like this narrow sort of view. And when you take mushrooms, it takes those blinkers off. Like, that's the best way that I could describe it for anyone not knowing what.
I agree.
Yeah.
Opened you up completely.
Yeah. Like, I'm a big conspiracy theorist now because I'm so open to the possibilities of what could be, you know, and I love that. I think that it's fun because you can question everything, you know, I just don't get it.
So would you like another one?
I would love one. Thank you. Like, I don't know if you have the same thing as me, but it's just like, do you not question why we exist, why we're here, what is going on?
So, I mean, you know, for me, like, I grew up in a real religious household.
Yeah.
And so everything for me was like, this is it. Like, we have a God. Like, my family's parents' religion was just a certain thing. Mm-hmm. It wasn't heaven or hell or anything like that. Great people, but there's just something always for me. I'm like, the universe is stupid big, right?
Yeah.
And I was looking at some articles because I love space and I love the potential and I love seeing what could be like on the cards. And I found out that the sun is older than the earth.
Mm-hmm.
The ocean is older than the sun.
That's pretty fucking bonkers.
And then there's something like 1,500 other planets around that have the same chemical compounds as Earth that have the ability to have life. And so why are they so far away, right? Mm. It is because it is what it is. But I'm like, okay, what's happening with all these, like, I mean, we can talk into aliens and stuff like that, right? Mm-hmm. Like, all the stuff that's going around. We literally don't know. And if you're telling me that, I get it, we came from somewhere, I just don't know. And because I don't know, because I don't have evidence, I don't have faith like that. I'm like, I believe in the universe. Mm-hmm. I think the universe is amazing. It's easy to see that I like to live my life where if you throw something out there, it comes back. Mm-hmm. Whether that's negative, positive, and that's how I live my life now. So going for like 18 years of one way of thinking, then having this kind of like going off, you know, the different pathway, and then taking like another like kind of like 6-7 years, and then being open to just learning about other things. When I started taking mushrooms, took ayahuasca.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I started just finding other people, and like my ayahuasca like story is crazy, which really made me feel that there's just something else. We don't know what it is. You know, I hear there's angels and there's not, but whatever it is, right? We just don't know. Mm-hmm. But all I really try to care about right now is, one, have a hell good time in this life. Mm-hmm. Two, just work on being a good human. Yeah. And of course, I'm a bit of a cunt sometimes. Right? I'm not gonna.
Aren't we all?
Yeah. But overall, I want the best for everyone. Mm-hmm. And like, if we just live that way, whatever comes is gonna come. Yeah. All I know is that, okay, I live every day being the best human as I possibly can. Have a good time. I'm happy, and I'm really knowing who I am. If I just live my life that without having some sort of like, oh, we have a God, whatever like this, then I know that I'm just going to do much better to everyone around the world. Yeah. I'm going to either impact some people positively, or I'm going to make someone have a good day by smiling at them, because I'm always smiling when I walk past the people. And this is the reason why I love living in Bali. The local people here, when you're just driving past them, like on a scooter, little smile, they smile back. Yeah. Back in Australia or America, you smile at someone, they think you're going to,
yes, steal their firstborn.
yeah, or like try and start a sex trafficking.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a bit exaggerated, but so yeah. But I mean, do you believe in aliens?
So this is my thing. I feel like if there are aliens, okay, so for us, we are on Earth and we have our senses. We can smell, we can touch, we can taste. We have senses for this planet and the thing that we're on. What if other species, so if you look at Mars, there's nothing there. But what if they're just vibrating on a different frequency and you just can't see them, or they have different senses that we don't have, so then we can't explore that planet the way that they do and we can see them. Like, I just find it very bizarre to think that in this whole entire world, something else will be able to have the exact same senses that we will, and the same exact physical body that we have, in the exact same frequency that we vibe on, to come here. Like, I just wonder that if it's all already happening on this planet, if that makes sense, like maybe they're already here. Maybe when you take the mushrooms, that's when you can actually see them and speak to them, because that's how I felt when I was on mushrooms. I had these different entities around me that were not me. They were a lot smarter than I was. I don't know whether it's coming from within and I'm speaking to myself within, or if they're actually physically there. But I don't know. I don't trust the government. I don't trust what they're saying about these aliens coming to Earth, because they say that it's like non-biological whatever, which could mean absolutely anything. I'm curious about old civilizations that used to be on this planet.
Fascinated about
like what happened to them. It was a really long time ago. Like, the history just doesn't make sense. The timelines don't add up. I feel like there's been like this repeated cycle. Maybe that's what they were trying to show us with the snake that eats itself. It's just like this ongoing thing that just keeps on happening. I don't know if I don't know if we're the aliens. I don't know if they exist. I don't know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. I don't know how I got here. I can't remember getting here. This whole idea of being alive is just so fucking weird to me that I love it and I'm so curious about it, but I just don't understand it. And the more I learn, the less I know. And I'm just surprised that a lot of people aren't as curious as I am into why we're alive, why we exist. People just want to get married, have children, which is lovely, but they don't have questions. Like, shouldn't we all be very curious to why we got here? Who was here?
Can we question shit?
Yeah, like who was here left in the dust before us? Like, I don't know.
And I don't want to wait, like all of that what you just said, plus I don't want to waste my life. So I want to go and have, like, I want to experience everything.
Like, I'm not, like, as far down the rabbit hole as I am and I can't see the opening anymore, I'm so happy where I am and I'm just enjoying life, but I'm just so understanding that I don't know what's going on. But then I feel like a lot of people are quite ignorant to it all, or maybe they don't want to know. Maybe they just want to take the blue pill and just ignorance is bliss. But for me, I'd take that red pill any day.
Is it?
While having fun.
Yeah.
You know? And like, live, love, love.
Eat, pray, love.
Oh, that's such a good film.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, Eat, Pray, Love. Love that film.
So if aliens landed in Italy, does that mean we get to call them Italians?
Good one. Italian.
But serious question. I've had a really good time. This isn't a question, it's leading into a question.
Okay.
Everyone's like commenting, that's not a question, that's a statement. Fake doors.
Fake doors. That's all I'll say.
I just lost my statement.
Really? It wasn't a question.
Like, it was originally a question and then I was going to run into a statement. Anyway, so saying all that, now I remember what I was saying. See, tequila is fantastic. Bring the party, not the plan.
Bring the party, not the plan.
So, yeah, I mean, it's been amazing. I think this has gone on for quite a long time. I think it's the longest talk show we've had.
Really? Oh, sorry.
So let's finish up, because this has been amazing. We've had a lot of value and love listening to your journey.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things I think people can definitely take away with, and saying it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, just question your life, question your existence.
Yeah.
Don't lose the plot, but just there's more than what we're kind of going on with,
So now you're traveling the world. You've left London. You're with your boyfriend, Bryden.
Yeah.
Amazing guy. Shredded as fuck. So now you're kind of just going with the flow, and we were having this chat a couple of days ago where you are now just really trying to figure out, how can I, not like go viral with that type of stuff, right? Because you kind of know, but how do you do it in your own thing?
How can I add value to the world?
Yeah.
Like I literally think, okay, I'm going to start this business with selling X. And then I look at it, I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to add to the plastic problem in this world. And I'm going to add to I'm going to add to the fast fashion problem in this world. And they go, okay, I don't really want to do that. And then I look at another path and I'm like, I don't really want to do that either. I don't know. I'm just trying to be happy. I'm trying to do what makes me happy, and I'm trying to find a balance in what I can do to make money and be happy in the same time without causing harm to the planet, to other people, and all that.
So that comes down to the final question. I mean, for you to figure all that out, you really need to know who you are. So how does oneself find who they are? And I want to talk, I mean, this can relate to guys and girls, but you've gone through a lot as a woman. And I really want you to speak to that, because guys can take this on as well, because shit happens to us. But we're kind of built like brick shit houses, where we're kind of like very sturdy, rocky, and we just that's kind of how most males are built. But for yourself as a woman, sensitive, emotional, that type of thing, going through a lot of crazy stuff, the dog bite. How do you now, after all of that, know who you are so that you can take who you are and then give that value out to the world?
Such a tricky question, because I have videos on my phone of a few years ago before I took the mushrooms, and I was crying, saying, people lust me, but they don't love me. And it's kind of funny looking at it, going oh my God, that's not the worst situation in the world. But to me, it really was. It was hard for me to make friends, because it was a lot of male friends, but they were all really just after one thing. And I would say, I just want to be loved. I just want to be loved. And I was very confused with the feeling of love. I thought that because I was feeling this way, the other person was feeling the exact same way. So I was very confused to why they were treating me poorly, because I was like, if you love me, why are you treating me poorly? And I try to voice that to them. Be come on, you have to blah, 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 instead of being actually, I know my worth. This isn't what I want. You make me feel a bit shit. See you later. But I would keep trying to make it work. And that's what kind of put me down. I didn't value myself. I valued other people. I'd always say yes to everything, even if I don't want to. I think you just have to learn to love you, respect you, put you as number one. Even with dating, for women, a lot of girls would always say, oh, I hope he likes me. That's not what it's about. You're going in to see if you like him, because it's like an interview, I guess. A date's an interview. You're seeing if that person is going to fit your life. You're not wanting to make them want you. You're not going to change yourself in order to get them. You have to find your right match. And that's something that I really struggled with. With friends, with boyfriends, with anything. I think until you realize what makes you happy, what you love, your interests, then you can find other people that can share that with you. And if they don't, that's completely fine. But don't change who you are. Don't be cringe. Don't devalue yourself. Don't think of yourself as lower than anyone. We are all here as the exact same thing. We all don't remember coming to this planet. We all don't remember where we're from. We are all in the exact same boat. No one is better than the other. It doesn't matter if you have more money than the other. We are all the same fucking thing. And if until you realize that you are as worthy as everyone else, I think that's where the key is.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Cheers to that.
Cheers.
We'll end on that note.
Yeah. To finding your value.
So that's main. This has been such a great episode. It's been so good to actually catch up with you in depth.
You as well.
Last question is, so now that you've had the show, the tequila, what would you rate the tequila out of 10?
Now with how wavy I am, I'm 10 out of 10, 100%.
No! Okay, well, thank you again for joining. I'm so happy that we got to do this, which is cool. And I'm sure we'll have a few more tequilas after the show.
Yeah, can we?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. Thanks for watching, making sure you're commenting down below. Go like and subscribe. If you love tequila, you love stories about tequila, and you love listening to stories while drinking tequila, I think pretty sure we can actually do a little advert for them.
Tequila, no story, but it's good and makes you feel warm.
So thanks again for watching, and we will see you guys on the next episode with our next guest, who is absolutely adorable. Adios.